This is the last lesson before our project. So I just want to go over tessellations, and you guys probably did this in elementary at some point. You probably did an art project or a Christmas project with it. Lots of company things will repeat an image. They'll interlock, things like that. Sometimes you see it in company logos, artistic patterns. You'll see it in like patterns on a couch, like a repeated dot or something like that. That's called a tessellation. It's taking an image and repeating it over and over again. So most of these shapes, or many of these shapes, will have line and or rotational symmetry. Sometimes they have both to make the logo visually appealing and well functional. So if we look at this eye, here, what you can see is that it has line symmetry. So if I were to draw a line down here, if we folded it in half, it would look the same. Or if I drew the horizontal line of symmetry, it would look the same. Now, a diagonal won't work here because it's not a perfect circle, it's more of an oblong. So if we did a diagonal here, this part would come up on top here. It wouldn't be exact. So you just got to be careful and pay a little bit of attention. But it has horizontal line, but it also has rotational symmetry in order of 2. So it doesn't work if we rotate it only 90, but it does work if we rotate it all the way around. So if we rotate it 180 degrees, it looks exactly the same. And then when we rotate it back to 360, it looks exactly the same. So it has an order of 2 and an angle of rotation of 180, because that would be 360 divided by 2 gives you the 180. So that was your lesson from yesterday or the day before or whenever you did rotational symmetry. So tessellations is when we repeat the pattern, when we keep it going, when we use the same image over and over again to make a bigger image. So this is a repeated pattern. Identify and describe the symmetry. Now, when I say symmetry, it could be line or rotational, or maybe both. Okay, so we could draw lines of symmetry. We could draw it here to here. We could draw it here to there. We could put it through like the middle part, because when we fold that in half, it will lay right on top. Or we could draw the line of symmetry right through the star, because that star will fold over in half. So that would work as well. Can you identify any rotational symmetry in this example? Well, if we just take the star motif by itself, it would have 5, because you could rotate it through all the points on the star. 4, and then there is 4's, so 2's there, 3's there, and the one I'm missing is 2, 3, 4. Which line did I miss? I missed a line. Which one did? Oh, sorry. This one would be 5 because it starts here and it ends here. Okay, so there would be 5. Oh, sorry guys, you can't even see me drawing on the bottom of this. I apologize. And with this one, rotational symmetry, it would be all the way to here. So this would be 1, and then back would be 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th one is back at 1. I guess maybe that's a better way to see it. So 1 and 5 are at the same point, and here we have 1, and then 2 is when we go right back to the top. All right, so that's if we looked at them individually. So tessellations, like I said, is that repeated pattern, and it has no gaps in between the shapes, so it's kind of interlocking. So if we look at the paving stones in a walkway, identifying any line or rotational symmetry that you see, this one is really hard. But if you look at all these shapes, you take your pen and you trace it around, all these shapes are the exact same shape. They're just a little rotated to fit together. And then it says, hey, what if you took a look at these 3 all together? Just switching colors so maybe we can see it a little better. Oh, and now if I see that, you guys can't even see my different colors. I'm not sure why. If I look at this as a 3 pattern, well, there it is again. That's kind of cool. And there it is again. And there it is again. Get that? So it has this little bit of rotation. Now it kind of pops off the page and we can see it together. So this is going to have a rotational order of 3. So this one has an angle rotation of 120 because it rotates 3 times and it will look the same. So this divot, that divot, that divot, and you can see kind of like the little peak here. When you rotate it around, it'll fit together when it's here, and then it'll fit together again at this peak here. So we got 1, 2, and then back to home is 3. I'm recording a video. Can it wait? Sorry, I can't get that for you. Sorry. Okay, so rotating in order of 3, the angle of rotation would be 120. Sorry, somebody just interrupted. I apologize. But it does not have a line of symmetry. No matter where we draw these lines on here, we won't get that nice folded in half pattern. And that's just, so in this case, it's a tessellation where it has rotational symmetry, but it doesn't have line symmetry. Okay, last example. Identify any line or rotational symmetry and describe it. So if we look at the individual triangles, we got lots of things. These are equilateral triangles. So we would have 3 rotations in each triangle. But if we look at it as a whole, we can't rotate this at any point. Like if we rotated the entire shape, we're going to have no times where it repeats on itself. Let me just do that quickly for you. I'm just looking at this. I'm going to use my scissors and I'm going to cut that out. Oops. Sorry, all right, so there's my original. If I rotate it at any point, does it fit back into itself? So I went from here and I went 90. No point did it turn in. I go 180. Go 270. I think I've gone too far. Hang on. So if I go here, so this one is flat. Now it's going to be, so there is 90, 180. Oops. Sorry, it should look like that. Kind of hard to see. Let me turn off this light for a second. Oh, there we go. 270, 360. So it doesn't have any time where it fits back into itself as a whole unit. So no rotational symmetry on this guy. But each triangle could be rotated. That could be 120, so it could do 3 times. Line symmetry, horizontally it doesn't work. Like if I put a line right here, that's not going to be folded in half. But if I put a line right here, it will fold itself in half. So this one does have line symmetry, and each individual triangle has rotational symmetry, but the whole image doesn't. So that is tessellations, and this would be an example of a tessellation project because the image is repeated. The image is repeated, and there's no gaps in the pattern. So this is an indication, or sorry, this is an example of tessellations. All right, so that's your tessellations lesson. If you have any questions, let me know, and you have an assignment to complete. Thanks.